So that's Ciudad Ciudad Juarez, Chihuahua, Mexico. That's the border. It's U.S. News Live. Thousands of migrants rush to Mexico border as President Trump cracks down. This is U.S. News. This was streamed like live, like right now. Or however, that appeared on here. It just appeared to me, but yeah, I've been seeing. See, you know, one of the qualities of God is patience. So you have to be observant. Before you make haste to respond to certain things. You know, and I've seen a lot of people. They was celebrating the departure of immigrants, illegal immigrants, and there was some that were kind of saddened by it. People who people that they worked for um, lost a lot of employees, and that's something that actually, you know, we see. So with Trump cracking down on immigrants, that's that's targeting a particular people, you know, illegal immigrants. And what we know is that the world has a pattern, and throughout the history in this world, we have seen a certain pattern when it came to wars, when it came to um, one people oppressing another people, or being the the transgressors against another people. So that's what I've seen in this event. And these events, they sometimes, before they're carried out, these are staged. These are things that are set up to create what's called mass hysteria. And mass hysteria is a way for the people to be manipulated because it creates a certain fear, and that fear can be guided in any direction that you want it to go, as far as having a solution to it, and having, or putting an end to the fear, because people are, and that is a method of getting the people to do whatever you want them to do. That is amongst one of them, fear. Fear, because fear is it's it produces dopamine, and dopamine is an addictive. It's a chemical that becomes released in the brain, and it becomes you can become addicted to it. So a person or people can become addicted to fear, and they don't even know it, because these are things that we don't take the time to actually study, but others have studied it, and they know the effects of, fear, and how it um, correlates with the human psyche and the human behavior. So, what I wanted to say about that was, there's people that that was kind of glad that, you know, the immigrants are being ushered out of the United States, and there's people that are saddened by it. And then you have President Trump, that was the initiator of the crackdown. And, you know, why I made it clear in a lot of, you know, a lot of my videos that I make, you know, is because these are not just regular people. If these was regular people, then, you know, you would just have to deal with, you know, the consequences, the repercussions of dealing with unlawful and untamed individuals, or untamed people, you know, or people with no sense, or no sense of value. You would have to deal with those type of people. But these aren't regular people. This is a man, you know, that proclaimed. Now you got to understand something. You got to understand something about Trump. You know, I love everybody, bro. Like, for me, I can't hate. There's no way for me to hate. This is something that I know about me. I can be disagree with you, but there's nothing for me to hate. So you don't hate anybody. So you're not saying this out of, you know what, I always hated him, and, you know, I don't hate. I can't. This is one thing about me that I know about me, is that I cannot hate. And you come from love. This is how you know you come from unconditional love, because at no condition can you formulate hate. I can't. This is what I know about me. This is what I know. It's nothing that I hate. You know, nothing that I hate. And I told you, the only thing that I hate, that I have a strong dislike for, is what everybody want. That's what sets you apart. You have a strong dislike for what everybody likes. You have a you see, that's the only thing that I hate, is money. You know, I don't like it. I feel crazy when I have money. Ever since I was a kid, that's, you know, so you know the effects of certain things, as opposed to how other people know the effects of certain things. So what I wanted to say was, that's the only thing that I hated, was money. Now, as far as Trump, I always liked this. You gotta understand something. You are a person that's observant. Like I told you, you're observant, which is a character, or a part of patience. You cannot be observant if you're not patient. You can't understand anything if you're not observant. So this is the reason why a lot of people don't have that understanding, because they lack that patience. But I liked Trump when I was growing up. Trump was the man that you saw him everywhere. The lifestyle of the rich and famous, on this show, on that show, on this show, on that show. So you was always see him. And when you did see him, you know, me, I'm a character, you know, that you know, I read people, and he never struck me as anything, you know what I mean? So I'm just being real. You you can only be honest. So when we seen Trump as kids and stuff like that, we always used to like Trump. Not just me, but a lot of people. You know, he was a public figure. He was I guess a lot of people liked him. He was well known. You know, he had money and stuff like that. So a lot of people liked him. But I just liked him because I've always saw him in a different light. You know, and now we're having him as a president, you know, the second time president, and you know he has certain things that you know are still pretty good and noble, but then you have certain things that you have to question. You know, we all understand that, you know, it's a chain of command, but what breaks that chain of command in certain things is when you attribute other things along with that. Having a Christian a Christian affiliation has a different tone to who your character is. So that's why I'm indicating that he's not just a regular person. If that was the case, then hey, bro, we gotta watch out for Trump, man. Trump, yo, he's about to do this. You know, the fear mongering and Trump is about to do the no. Trump is not just anybody. Trump is a Christian. You know, he's not just any kind of Christian. He's a proud Christian. He's a proud Christian. So as we understand this and what it means to be a Christian, that's why the book is there. You know, and I love making that reference. You know, the book is there. Go refer to the book. The book is there. That's unchristian-like. That's unchristian-like. You know, to deport people back to impose mass deportation and to target a group of people, and to send them back. And not only that, but the way that they target these people, these what they call illegal immigrants, is by getting the people to feel discomfort or disdain towards them, or some sort of disagreement with them. The trigger word for that is calling them criminals, calling them rapists, and then now they have you strung along to the point where you're attaching yourself to the witch hunt. These tactics has been used for centuries, and these practices are being used today. I see it. I've been seeing it, and I've been vocal about it. So this isn't something that you're secretive about. This is something that you know, and you're wondering why other people don't know. It's because other people are actually along with it, whether they know it or they don't know it. But these things been going on for centuries. Them targeting a group of people by using certain derogatory words in a fashion to make it a mob-like mentality that you have to gang up on them and then single them out and then try to move them somewhere. This is what you call a pattern of the world. He's a Christian. If these are your Christian, these people are Christians. You're Christian. You cannot follow the pattern of the world. The patterns of the world are changed on your behalf. You are the reason why the patterns change, because of what you accept. You accept a different pattern. Jesus didn't follow the pattern of the world. Jesus was a nonconformist. Jesus was a nonconformist. These people are conformists. It's evident that you can't be a conformist and be a Christian. Every Christian is fashioned after Christ, and Christ is a nonconformist. That doesn't mean that he's not amongst the people. It means that he doesn't conform to the people. So we don't conform to the ways of the world. And the ways of the world is already written out. It's already laid out. What happened there? Oh, they rounded up a group of people, put them in a detention camp, and then, war ensued. Oh, what happened over there? Oh, they rounded up a group of people, put them in a detention camp, and then war ensued. What happened over there? Oh, that president, he rounded up all the drug addicts, and he civil war ensued. He put a target on all the drug addicts, and civil war ensued. What happened over? This is the pattern of the world, and it doesn't stop here. It goes all the way back to antiquity. So if you know that these are the patterns of the world, right? And the patterns of the world didn't end up in those positions or follow those patterns by following a certain pattern, then it means for you to change these patterns by incorporating another pattern. So you don't incorporate another pattern by following the same pattern and then rolling out that pattern. You have to change that pattern. This is the only way for you to break that chain. This is not a generational curse. They believe, oh, generational curse, slavery. No, it's with the whole world. The world needs redemption from everything. You have a sordid and ugly and a terrible history here on this planet. Yes, you do. You do. And it is ugly. And it is draped and dressed in betrayal and backstabbing and debauches and all sorts of stuff. And all sorts of stuff is in the history here. But with that history, you also have this thing that has set you free. You know, this thing that will set you free. You also have that. So that's the issue. The issue is if he was, a monster and he got himself in the office, then we put him there. But he's not he's a Christian. That's what my understanding of him is, and that understanding of him makes his character to me a lot different. When a person tells me that they're Christian, I look for them to have an understanding of the teachings of Christ and how Christ would do certain things. I look for that. I look for that in them, because like this is the thing with me. I relate to the story. You relate to Christ. So when you relate to Christ, you relate to people that relate to that story as well. I relate to Christ. I relate to Christ. You can't if you don't have no relation to Christ, how can you love Christ? But you relate to the story. Matter of fact, it's so deep that you know the story, so you know it. That me and somebody was talking about Jason the other day. Friday the 13th was talking about Jason. And he told me the beginning of Jason, what happened to Jason. And it was like Jason was in a pool and he was at the lake and he was drowning. And he was asking people for help. And as opposed to them actually helping him, they was just sitting there laughing at him and mocking him. And I said, son, that's the story of Jesus. That's what they was doing to Christ. You would see every situation the same way that you see the situations that's been... Bruh, you cannot not see these situations and not apply these situations. That's why it's so divine how you can just make a video just rambling and still be able to apply scripture to that. That is, it's kind of baffling to me. Like some things about me just, it kind of puzzles me. How am I able to do that? But it's not about, yeah. But I've seen, Trump, I'm watching this mass deportation, and they seem kind of cheerful. They seem kind of cheerful. I'm not sure what this what the thing is for recording it, but or how it's all being recorded and documented like that, but it's being recorded and documented live, and it seems organized and real structured, like they actually have a destination of where they're going, of where they're actually trying to get to. But that's what I see here, So, yeah, you relate these stories to Christ. So when I see people that knows they're a Christian, have a different, you're not judging nobody, like how you're supposed to be, you have to understand something. It all is back to patience. You never know how things are going to turn out for a certain or a particular individual. Because here they call these people criminals. They're criminals, and that was the key word that triggered people to say, you know what, I'm going to go along with that. So this mob mentality has key words that can be used to have people gang and mob up against you. So it's the way that you're convinced, to receive things, they convinced. Remember when they convinced the people to choose Christ, they was convinced. So it's a way for them to convince. This is what I'm trying to, you have to understand, it has never been them, it has always been you. It's never been them, it's always been you. For you allowing them to do what they want to do, which is what they want you to do, is to give them that, I guess, control or that power over you, to allow you to think that you're making they're making decisions for you, but you're the one that's gifted with that power to make that decision, Fire burning, people sleeping on the ground, and on cardboard like they homeless, and they show the peace sign. That's why I don't I don't I don't really feed into a lot of things, because that's actually the assimilation symbol. It's actually that's what it is. It's just what it is. And some things I just have to tell her what it is. The assimilation is conformity. It's not a sim. It's a conformity. You gotta understand. It's nothing wrong with conformity if you're conforming to what's right and to something right. But when it's done, you know, with underhandedly, with wicked intent and deceptively, you can't conform to that. You, especially when you have righteousness in you, you can't conform to that. It's nothing you can do. You, like, personally, it's nothing you can do to do that. You would like to do that. You can, but you wouldn't be able to live within yourself, to actually conform. But yeah, I just see the people in there laying down on the ground like they're, mm, and the thing is, we um, but it's wrong. It's wrong to not welcome a foreigner, a stranger. It's wrong. And if you are Christian, and accept the teachings of Christ and accept Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, accepting Christ as your Lord and personal Savior is accepting Christ as a Savior from yourself, even against your own self, or what you would normally do. What I would normally do, what I want to do, is for me saying from a Trump perspective, what I want to do is I want a mass deportation, but because I'm saved by Christ, and I have to think about what Christ would do in a situation like that, because that's what I would like to do. But what would Christ do in a situation like that? We're talking about someone that took fish and bread and fed, a multitude of people. So this is what you would do in that situation. You would not turn away anyone that's hungry, thirsty, looking for shelter, food, anything like that. You wouldn't turn them away. You would invite. You would invite a stranger, the homeless. You would invite these people in, and you would treat them as you would treat a native, as you would treat yourself. You would treat them as you would treat the original habitant in your land. This is what you would do. You wouldn't single them out. You wouldn't go on a witch hunt. You wouldn't persecute them. You wouldn't do none of that. The people that would do that is the actual enemies of Christ. These are the antichrists that would do that. The antichrist, you got to understand, it's right there in the book. The antichrist put a witch out on Christ. Anybody find him, turn him in. You want me to go get that, I can go get that for you. But I don't believe that I need to do that. You should just go continuously stay into that book. You should not just attach yourself to something and then just stray away from it. Just get into it and not just receive it, but understand what it actually means. Because a lot of things was not given to you straight out because it wasn't given to the people who received it straight out. Because the people that wanted it for power, but they couldn't. You can't control the word. You can't control it. You can whatever, but yeah, you will probably have to go to get back into your book a little bit more because we have a watered down version of Christ. I have a watered down version, and that's why people are missing the spirit because they have received a watered down version, you know. And I've matter of fact, I've heard them giving Christ to children, but they're giving it to him in a watered down version, and that's the reason why they're not going to be receptive or really relative to who or what Christ actually stood for, because the way that you're receiving this story or who you're receiving it from is watered down, and they just keep giving it to you watered down. They're missing the juicy parts. They're missing the parts that you can actually feel in your soul. They're missing that. They're leaving those parts out. They're leaving that out. And if you know those parts and you don't feel those parts, you have no association with that at all. You know. But I wanted to read something to you because I stumbled across this, and it's going into detail about the Nazi regime and the persecution of the gypsies. And it's an article that was updated on August 2020. And the reason why I had seen this article is because it goes into what gaslighting is. For me, what gaslighting is, because this was the Nazis regime persecution of the gypsies, and we very seldom, or if any, talk about the persecution of the gypsies and the suffering of the gypsies. Everything is always centered around the persecution of the Jews and how the Jews was persecuted in Germany. But the thing about that is how triumphant and how well positioned in the world they are as of today in every region of the world, how well positioned those particular people that from those particular people that's been associated with that, how well positioned they are. But there's other groups of people who that actually happened to as well, that I know happened to them for a fact, gypsies. And the gypsies were hated not just by the Germans, but by every European nation. They was targeted, and they was targeted because they had a smear campaign on their name. The same way you would call people a criminal, you would call the people this, and have other people that don't know, because you're the voice of everything. Yeah, these criminals, these scumbags. You now people was like, yeah, good. We going after scumbags, but this is just your opinion about people that might not even be the truth. This is just what you want people to feel. Scumbags and criminals, so you believe that the people that you're attacking and going after is scumbags and criminals and rapists, but these may be people that just want to escape poverty. So you end up pushing people that's trying to escape poverty back into poverty. That becomes, contradictory to Christ. And if it's contradictory to Christ, that's anti-Christ. Anybody seeking shelter, they would seek refuge. You shelter them. This is the requirement. This is a requirement. A requirement. Scumbag this, and get out of here. Nah. You have to be invitive first and foremost, and then you can't judge anybody because of their current condition. Their current conditions is not their final condition. They're whoever they are now, they're criminal now. That might not be the end result. That's in the parable of the two sons. If you don't understand the parable of the two sons, maybe you should go read that. When the father had the vineyard and he asked the two sons to go work the yard. One said he's going to work, but he didn't go. And then the other one said he was going to go, but he wasn't going to go, but then he did go. This is how it works. You don't understand how deep and how powerful the message and the teachings of Christ is. Do you understand that? The first son said he was going to go, but then he didn't go. The other one said he's not going to go, but then he did go. That means that a preacher, a lifelong serving God and Jesus said that he was going to do that, but then he ended up not doing it. The people, prostitutes, gangsters, drug addicts, lazy people, anybody, homeless people, murderers that said that they wouldn't serve God, be the ones that end up serving God. That's the reason why you cannot pass judgment on anybody, because their story isn't written yet. Their story is only written once it's over with. The story is only written once they're over with. We're not grown. By us believing that we're grown, we stop our story being, we believe, consciously believe that our story is stopped being written. I'm grown. No, I have more growing to do. You're grown once you can't grow no more. You're grown, but the story of Christ is what it is. Christ is what Christ is. Christ is who Christ is. And if you are with that, you have that knowledge, that teaching, that... Did you? Come on, man. But I wanted to talk about this Nazi regime and the persecution of the gypsies, because it's imperative that you understand how things have a history, have a pattern, and if these patterns are not addressed, then we'll continue and will continue to be a product of these patterns. So this is about the gypsies in the Nazi Germany, what people very seldom talk about. In addition to Jewish people, the Third Reich, or Third Reich, which means the Third Empire, they believed that they was the empire, the third Roman Empire. That's what they believed, that they was the third Roman Empire. And Third Reich also targeted the Roma and Sinti people, gypsies, for industrialized murder. It succeeded in killing 500,000 of them, you know. But this is just what's been reported to us as far as the news, how you get when it's the people that create the news give you are the ones issuing the news. You don't know whether that number is accurate, or those are the real people, or was it those people. So you don't really know how or what actually happened when you have the ability to doctor. If you're the one if the people are the same people that's writing the stories, you don't know whether these are the actual numbers. So it succeeded in killing 500,000 of them. The EU set up Roma Holocaust Memorial Day in 2015, but in the UK so far, its impact has been limited. Like, people don't even want to acknowledge that. We don't acknowledge them people, you know. But all throughout the world, we do commemorate and acknowledge, you know, the Holocaust that the Jews endured. You know, we did acknowledge that. You know, everybody, you can't even talk about that. You know, that's would be considered anti-Semitism, and you know, this is the truth. People have limited impact. Like, son, nobody want to talk about that, and so what? You know, and it actually happens to them, like gypsies. And the truth about that is, where are they at? Why we're not bumping shoulders with them everywhere we turn? And when we do see them, we got a certain perception about them. We got a stereotype about them anyway, because we heard something about them. We heard that they was thieves. We heard that they was liars. They can't be trusted around you. That's what we heard about them. You know, we heard that about them. And we don't know that because we really don't see them. But when we do see them, that's how we actually interact with them. And when you do see them in movies and stuff, they do seem kind of like, you know, they are depicted in that kind of light, you know, like thieves, or they'll disappear on you. They'll do some kind of, you know, magic on you and disappear on you and stuff like that. But that's what you know about them. But we don't really see them anywhere. You know, they don't really own stores. They don't really own businesses, banks. We don't really see them anywhere. Where are the gypsies at? You know, and a lot of these people that own all these properties and these banks were the recipients of the wars. The people that took spoils of the wars. So, you know, if there's a civil war going on where there's a lot of, you know, and you got everything, then, you know, yeah, I know. And however, the UK officials' commemorative ceremony of Holocaust Memorial Day 2020 paid tribute to the Romani genocide, also known as the Porajmos, with a poignantly beautiful live performance by the band Gypsy Life, and in April 2020, the National Holocaust Center and Museum, with sister charities Aegis Trust, live stream a solo violin performance by Gypsy Life founder Marian Bongo to mark a candle lighting for the final 24-hour Global Genocide Awareness Month. Marian is interviewed by our co-founder Dr. James Smith from but this aspect of the Holocaust is still little talked about. Despite this systematic persecution by the Nazis and their collaborators, under the Nazis, gypsies were subjected to deportation to concentration camps or ghettos, medical experimentations, forced sterilization, and mass murders. But why were these atrocities committed? And why were these people targeted? See, why were these atrocities committed, and why were these people targeted? They by word of mouth, they made them what you would call dregs of society, but there's kind of like a secret to who gypsies actually are. See, they call gypsies because the Europeans believe that gypsies came from Egypt. Do you see how, gypsies, Jews, gypsies they believe came from Egypt, but Jews say that they came from Egypt. So there's a reason why um, they were targeted, and there's a reason why those atrocities were committed. You know, is because people haven't learned how to deal with things that they don't understand rationally. They have a tendency, we have traits. And one thing that I talked about before was the trait that I had with that we had characteristics like cats and dogs have them. And one of the traits that my cat does is it likes to claw at stuff, like at the carpet or anything like that. It likes to claw at. It's one of the things that it likes to do. And one of the traits that mankind has, or a certain group of people, is they love bloodshed. They love to see bloodshed, in some form or fashion. They like to see it. And the proof is in, the Colosseums. The proof is in our love for the boxing sport. Just two men bludgeoning themselves. Our truth is in the fact that we create bombs on a daily basis and rockets and stuff like that on a daily basis. That's the proof is in all that stuff. The proof is in the fact that these are Christian majorities, people that fill these arenas and these auditoriums for WWE, the boxing and MMA. A lot of these people, these are um, Christians. These are those that should honor their neighbor, love their neighbor, and love your brothers. And these are those people that want to see each other bludgeon each other to death and beat each other to death. These are people. These are a majority of those people in wars. That's in these wars are in either one of these religions, and either they're Christian, they Muslim, they're a Jew, they're in one of these religions. But the thing is, we don't want to grow out of the things that we need to grow out of. See, when you have traits, those traits are, they can be tamed. You can tame them. Those certain things that you do that might be annoying to other people, you can tame that. You can tame anything about you that needs to be tamed. But as opposed to taming um, the beast inside of you, you put a costume, you put a disguise over it, and you think you don't have to change that, but you do, because you're going to repeat the same things over and over again. Because underneath it all, you're always going to have that trait, because it's untamed. And that's why you repeat the same things over and over again, because you have the same traits. You got to understand, you're studying and we're studying as well, but let's go back. Prejudices against gypsy communities has a long history, predating the Nazis. Predating the Nazis. So these are things that before the roundup of certain people, there's always a list of people that they already hate, and that they plan on targeting. So this predated the Nazis. Like I told you before, that the Nazis aren't really the Nazis. They are a set up subgroup of a fraternal order, and yes, that's what it actually is. There's no Nazis. This is no. I'm saying there's Nazis because people believe that. Because once it's created, and anybody that identify and agree with that ideology, they can join it. So I'm not saying there ain't no Nazi. I don't believe that. No, if a person, if a ideology is created and is created fictitiously, that doesn't mean that the people that join it can't join it. I mean, if for real, that doesn't mean that. This is what happened with the Panthers. This is what happened with a lot of these groups. They was created to, let's see if we can bring in some militant, and then once they join, now you're getting targeted. But this predated the Nazis. However, once Hitler became Chancellor of Germany and the Nazis rose to power in 1933, enforcement of pre-existing anti-gypsy legislations was increased. After selecting Roma people and gypsies generally as an undesirable group, the Nazis identified all people to which the label applied. To define Roma and determine who was considered a gypsy, the Nazis used the pseudoscience of racial hygiene. This would determine who was considered a gypsy based on physical features and heredity. The Nazis considered their genocidal policies to be justified as they categorized gypsies as racially inferior. A large part of their justification came from the work of Dr. Robert Ritter, who became director of the Center for Research of Racial Hygiene and Demographic Biology in 1936. Previous research conducted by Ritter and his colleagues focused on finding links between crime and genetics, i.e., whether some people are born predisposed to criminal behavior. Once in a post, they use gypsy communities as subjects for research. They use gypsies as research for subjects. They use their communities as subjects for research. Use their communities as subjects for research. Use their communities as subject for research. They use the gypsies communities for subject of research. This is where the ghettos come from. These were ghettos. This is where the ghettos come from. And they say that the Jews came from the ghetto. And I couldn't imagine them in a ghetto at all, ever, at any given time. I know, talking about just knowing them, I couldn't imagine them living in a ghetto at any given time. Like I stay in a Jewish community. I couldn't imagine them in a ghetto at any given time. Not them. At any given time. Not the ones that around me. I couldn't imagine that. I couldn't see them. I couldn't see that. I can't see that. Not those people. I can't see that. And I couldn't see the people around me, building a massive, unfathomable pyramid. I can't. But that's another story for another story. But they use crime to say that they targeted them like they was criminals. So that's the reason why I'm relaying this to the people, and it's the same thing. It's the same exact thing. And you're not going to have new doing the old. this is what makes, you know, this is what makes the most intelligent people less than that, to believe that they can go and continue to do the same old thing under the same old tactics, thinking that they're doing something brand new, and they're actually not. That's kind of called insanity. This is why it's insane. It's insane to continue to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. It's a sickness that's being distributed on a mass scale. It's mass hysteria. Just to let you know that every new year you do the same thing, the same old thing. Every new year. Every new year you do the same thing. This new year you brought it in with a person crashing into a group of people. Every year you do the same thing. There's nothing new about a year that passes. It's nothing new. So the pseudoscience was to argue that gypsies were primitive and had criminal characteristics, fueling the Nazis' regime's belief that they were a danger to society. The results of this racist, unethical, and inaccurate research were used both to facilitate and justify the Nazis' regime's destruction of European gypsy communities. So that's the juicy nectar of that. The article, it further goes on. You know what I mean, it's a systematic bureaucratic. You know, the systematic and bureaucratic. You know, the persecution of gypsies was systematic and bureaucratic. You know, so this is when you're dealing with bureaus and bureaucrats. Bureaucratic. When you're talking about bureaucratic, that means that you're not even an individual is not even thinking on its own. An individual is thinking about what's already established, what's already written. So it's a bureau, office. Office. When you're talking about bureau, you're talking about office. They go according to paperwork, not logic and reason. A person might have to logically do something, but in the scope that they can think of is what's written inside of that doctrine. Whatever's inside of that doctrine, I can't think outside of that. Nope. Son, I was justifiable. Nope. Mm-mm. That's what a bureaucrat is. Bureaucratic. They don't think. These are actually robots. This is actually AI. It's thinking for them. Whatever comes up, is say a bureaucrat like a banker, and you're doing business with them, and they got your information in front of you. They can only give you the information that's in front of you. That information may be wrong, but I can't even do nothing about it because I can't think. I can't think for myself to resolve the issue for you, but I can escalate it to somebody else who probably can. But as far as me, I can't help you because it's I can only do what the computer tell me to do. These are bureaucrats. They don't think for themselves. So the persecution of gypsies was systematic and bureaucratic. It was a systematic thing and it was a bureaucratic thing. Some of the first measures was racially motivated laws, including laws for the prevention of hereditarily diseased progeny. As a result of these discriminatory acts, many people were forcibly sterilized. Like, we don't even want y'all to create, offspring anymore. We don't even want y'all to do, this anymore. And everything is systematic and also bureaucratic. Like, this program, anything that this is set up that's in front of the news is shooting to you is stuff that they have to tell you. You know what I mean? They have to tell you. And it's evident because you can't be a reporter and not take time off from all the news that you're reporting and feel some type of way from the you expressing this empathy and that emotion and that joy and that hurt and that sad as a fellow human being. You can't be, you know, um, a real being if you don't feel that. If you're still, hey, it's Friday, y'all. It's Friday, yay. But you just got finished giving us a whole list of hell heaped in on top of hot coals, and you're in a celebratory mood because it's Friday. Then after Friday, you begin the week with more, terror and horror stories. But it's systematic and it's bureaucratic. So the pseudoscience was used to argue that gypsies was primitive and had criminal characteristics, fueling the Nazi regime's belief that they were a danger to society. The results of this racist, unethical, and inaccurate research was used both to facilitate and justify the Nazi regime's destruction of European gypsy communities. So we seen it. We see it. And all this stuff is unchristlike. So when we talk about, America is a Christian nation, America does too much of the old to be anything other than what it actually is. And it's actually a ball of confusion. It's a melting pot of all sorts of this and that and this. They have a distorted perception of what freedom is and liberty is, and believe that they're free to do whatever they want to do, and that's not the case. That's not the case. That's not what freedom actually is. But yeah, that's not right. There's solutions that you know the world has to start coming up with, as opposed to not agendas, schemes, and plans and plots, because these plans and plots are against God. Because God's plans aren't like that. If God's plans was like that, guess what? I'd be included in those plans. I'd be in those plans. Because the only thing that I submit to is God. The only thing that I conform to is God. So I would definitely be into that. I would definitely be a part of that. If I don't conform to it, then I'm against God. What the hell is wrong with you, dog? You against God? Nah, you nah, you don't want to sell drugs. You against God, bruh. Nah, why would God tell you to stop selling drugs? Why would that be something that God will want you to do? I want you to sell drugs. I want you to talk this dirty talk. I want you to look like you getting all this money. Why would God do that? Why would God want you to entice other people, to call women out their names and call other people that look exactly like you, or black, or whatever you want to call them? I mean, words that they've been using for so long, and using it in a way to reduce or to devalue you, to reduce your value, or either to reduce your value to nothing. How could you, go around and saying this and thinking that this is all this stuff is appeasing and appealing to God? A lot of stuff that we do is no. It's no. We are not. That's not associated with that. But that's the thing. We don't have to change because all we have to do is just put this costume on. No, you have to take that other. You have to take that costume off, then take that other costume off, and then put that costume on. Then actually put it on, so you can actually feel it against your skin. You got other things. You got other things feeling against your skin. You have to take that off because you're not going to feel it. I just told you. The axe majority of the people, they like boxing, they like sports, they like all this competitive stuff, this competing and competitive stuff. These are gladiatorial type things. And Rome has a history, and I'm going to get into that history because you have to understand where you come from, or where you get this mentality from, in order for you to get out of that mentality, in order for you to, understand there's no problem with it. You gotta understand there's no problem with it, but you also attribute something else which is contradictory to that. So we want to stop the confusion. That's all. We want to stop the confusion because bad is being looked at as good and good is being looked at as bad because there's a bowl of confusion. This is the reason why there's two sides. There's always a checkered board. It's light and dark. But now you got dark posing as light, and light don't even know that sun. I don't know what to be. I see light being this way, so I have to be this way. No. It's light or either you're going to be dark. You can't. It's one side or the other. It's one side or the other. So that's basically what I wanted to say, man. And for people who keep giving a lot this watered down version of Christ, man, Christ is dog. And for anybody that ever thought that, nah, dog. Christ saying that you can't water down this. You can't water down Christ, bro. And that's the reason why you don't see that being, you don't see a lot of miracles because a lot of people is watering down Christ, bro. You can't do that, man. You can't water down something that potent and that pure. You can't water down something pure. It won't be pure anymore. But before I get out of here, I wanted to read The Ball of Confusion. It's a poem by Temptation. There's a poem. It's a poem that was written. This was in 1970. Ball of Confusion, that's what the world is today. It was recorded by The Temptation in April of 1970 and released as a single the following month. But it's a poem. People moving out. People moving in. Why? Because of the color of their skin. Run, 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 but you sure can't hide. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Vote for me, and I'll set you free. Rap on, brother. Rap on. I guess that's what they used to say back in the 70s. Well, the only person talking about love the brother is the preacher. And it seems nobody interested in learning but the teacher. Segregation, determination, demonstration, integration, aggravation, humiliation, obligation to our nation. Bowl of confusion. That's what the world is today. Who? Hey, hey. The sale of pills are at an all-time high. Young folks walking around with their heads in the sky. Cities aflame in the summertime. Oh, the beat goes on. Evolution, revolution, gun control, the sound of souls shooting rockets to the moon, kids growing up too soon. Politicians say more taxes will solve everything. And the band played on. So round and around we go. Where the world's headed, said nobody knows. Oh, great Googa Mooga, can't hear me. Can you hear me talking to you? Just a bowl of confusion. Oh yeah, that's what the world is today. Who? Hey, hey. Fear in the air. Tension everywhere. Unemployment rising fast. The Beatles' new records of gas. And the only safe place to live is on an Indian reservation. And the band played on. Eve of destruction. Tax reduction. City instructors, bill collectors, mod clothes in demand, population out of hand, suicide, too many bills, hippies moving to the hills, people all over the world are shouting in the war, and the band played on. Can't you hear me talking to you? It's a ball of confusion. That's what the world is today. That's what the world is today. This was in the 70s. And I wanted to share that because you write this in the 70s and every issue that's in here is still prevalent right now. It is still in existence right now. Segregation, determination, demonstration, integration. You integrate, or else you better be one of us, or else aggravation, humiliation, obligation to our nation. Humiliating people and aggravating people, integrating people, demonstrating, marching and rallies, and being determination. We're going to be determined. Nothing's going to stop us doing this. And segregation. That's obligation to our nation. So when we want a Christian nation, we want a nation of people founded on values like Christ, not on values, masked on Roman values, masked as, this, because that's what it's all about. That's what they was telling you it's about in the movie. They clone Tyrone. This is assimilation. There's assimilate. You got to assimilate to what's right, and that's how you become a one people. Once you all, so we're just gonna do what's right, bro. If it's wrong, we are opposing it. If it's wrong, we can't be with it. If it's wrong, I don't care what form it comes in, but we can't be the orchestrators of what's wrong. We can't do that. So yeah, I wanted to share that because these things are still going on. This war, this more taxes to solve everything, and people shooting rockets to the moon. These things are still going on right now. And how you know that, these people we know they have to stop, bruh. They have to stop. And you gotta understand, it's some people that's so hardwired and attached to God, we just know that, son, I can't rock with them. These people just showed you on the TV early in the morning, early first thing in the morning, like maybe 4 o'clock in the morning. A plane crashed into a building, but Yoshi, that's not no plane. That wasn't no plane. That was actually a rocket that was shot into that thing over there in Philly. I didn't check out any of those other two crashes, but I know how these people play, and they have to stop being so deceptive. And it's offensive when you know when people are being spitefully wicked and it offends you. You know that, son, that's righteousness in that man is not going to let them people. You know what I mean, just continue to do that. And if I don't say nothing, if I can't say nothing about it, then I'm just as wicked as well. You know, just as wicked as well. You know, it's just like in Ezekiel when the watchman is watching, but he don't blow that horn, and they come and there's any bloodshed, then that bloodshed is on that watchman's hand. You know, the watchman is observant. You know, what's up, dog? Cooling. Come on, come on, come on. Cat, man. But oh, my door closed. I normally have it open for me trying to get out of there. Dog a wild bull. It was a dog a wild bull, man. Yeah, but yeah, I just wanted to share that with y'all because the thing is, you know, it's the people. All the power is really up to the people. Now, if you want to continue to um, come on, bro, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. It's all right. I gotta go tend to let my cat out my door. But yeah, like I said, I just felt like sharing that to y'all, sharing that with y'all, man, because it just needed to be shared. And, Peace.